מסכת עמוד א', 6 lines from the top of the page, 98. המפריש פסחו, the Mishnah tells us if someone dedicate a part of his Paschal lamb and then all of a sudden he passed away, which means he take a part of his animal, part of his flock, he take one of them and he dedicated it as a Paschal lamb and then he passed away. So he said that his son should not bring it only for the purpose of peace offering. תנו רבנן, המפריש פסחו ומת. אם בנו ממונה עמו יביאנו לשום פסח, אם בנו ממונה עמו יביאנו לשום שלמים ליום 16. Here is the very interesting point here. The question is, what exactly the inheritance has to do with the original plan? The man owns group of animals. He dedicated one of them for Paschal lamb. Then after the dedication he passed. So if at the time of registration he has his son as part of that registration, and which means after the father passed the animals still have an ownership, so he can bring it for the purpose of Paschal lamb. However, if he contributed that animal, when the late father contributed that animal and is no ownership at that time, the son can bring it for the purpose of peace offering on the 16 days of Nisan, which is only the first day of Chol HaMoed. Meaning the Tosfot read said the first day, the 14 he cannot bring it for the purpose of peace offering because he was in a state of onen. He just lost his father, and we said many times that the onen cannot bring a korban offering at the day that he was in a state of aninut. The Meiri have a different reason. He said that the reason for that is because the peace offering cannot be brought as a positive commandment of a completion offering, which means the not issue of aninut, but is a issue that the son brings something that already contributed by his father, etc. Anyway.
And now he's onen until the burial.
Onen until burial, yes.
So this assumes then, I guess, that the father passed away on the 14th?
Yes.
And then so you couldn't bury him on the 15th. Okay, so you can't bury him on the 15th, so you bury him on the 16th? Or
you bury him on
the 15th, right away. So then if you bury him right away on the 14th, then on the 15th he's not onen.
Okay, but so the thing is the difference between Tosfot Reed and the Meiri is the whole point that the moment the father did not register the son as part of the Paschal lamb, therefore the son is not registered, and that animal is already in a way have a sole dedication by the father.
No, I understand that, but I'm talking about bringing it as a shlamim. Because you said he can't bring him as a shlamim on the 15th because he's onen, but if he buries him on the 14th, then he's...
In 2 minutes we're going to a discussion on exactly the passing and how it happened. Okay, Natan, you are with us? Good, okay. Leshisha Asar, the 16th day of Nisan. Aim, he can bring him for the peace offering, which is, that's what exactly Rab David asked. Lechamisha Asar lo. So how about the 15th of Nisan? Not? You cannot bring him for peace offering? Kasavar, because this Tana hold, Nedarim u'nedavot and krivim beyom tev. This is Gemarrah in Beitzah, in page 19a. They have a discussion if you can bring a voluntarily offering on Yom Tov. So he hold that you do not do it on Yom Tov. So the Gemarrah dig in and said, the mita of eimat, when exactly the father passed away, ileima the mit kodem chatzot. If you tell me that the father passed before the midday, so no memuneimo yevienu leshum pesach. So his son, who is part of registered with him, the son can bring it for the purpose of Paschal lamb. So hachala aninut ilavei meikara, the acute mourning applies to the son from the outset before the Paschal lamb could sacrifice, and the acute mourner may not sacrifice the Paschal lamb. right? So we said earlier that even the onen is forbidden in Kodshin, but you can slaughter the Paschal lamb for someone who's became an onen at the Erev Pesach, in order for him to eat it at night. So he said, Ela, you have to say the meat achar chatzot. You have to go to a circumstance that the father passed away after midday. So therefore, he have the idea, the notion of Pesach before he have this point of aninut, and therefore he can. Since Rashi said that the obligation of Pesach, it's preset, it's set in advance before he became onen, so now the son be very careful not to become impure to his father. Rabbeinu Hananel said that the moment the father passed away, after Chatzot, the ben is no longer have the idea of aninut, because the moment the Paschal lamb, it's considering that this is the time of Pesach, and it's considering a festival, so he said Hallel. So if the son registered with the father, he says, bring him for the Paschal together. Ein bno memune imo, yevienu leshum shlamim. But if his son is not registered with him, the son should bring it for the purpose of peace offering. Hakva'atei chatzot, but midday establish it as a Korban Pesach, as a Paschal lamb. So, which means when we have this animal in front of us, at the time of bringing Paschal lamb at Chatzot, before the father passed away, it's ready for offering. So that's already have the title of Pesach. And since it wasn't offered, so we hold it the same as Paschal lamb that was supposed to be offered at the midday and did not offer. So it's considering as a Korban Dachui, which means as a postponing offering. So you hold it that you don't bring it as a peace offering, but you let him gaze until die naturally. So that's what we learn in the Mishnah. So Amar Rabba, or Rabba, said Maseret HaShas, two options, Le'olam demit kodem chatzot. You have to go back to the point that he passed before midday. Uma yevienu l'shum Pesach. What did the Braita man that he should bring it for the purpose of Pesach? He said it will bring 14 of Iyar l'shum Pesach sheni. He needs to bring it because if he didn't do the first Pesach because he was onen, he need to bring it for the second one. Abai Amar, I bring another tirutz. Litzdadim katani. It teaches it two different situations. One, met achar chatzot. If the father passed after midday, bno memunei imo yeviem l'shem Pesach, because the obligation of bringing the Paschal lamb applied to him before he was an onen, and therefore the time of the Paschal lamb stay without ownership was very little, so therefore you can bring it for the purpose of Pesach. But this Braita is not speaking about situation that the father passed away after Chatzot and the son not was registered. So he said, met kodem Chatzot, but if the father passed away before midday, ein bno memunei mo yivien rishum shlemim, because since at the middle of the day in a Chatzot he was not registered as a Pesach, so it's not considering a dachui. So therefore you need to bring it for the peace offering. Third tirutz, we have soon to see 5 tirutzim. Third tirutzim, Rav Shravi Amar leolam leachar Chatzot. You have to go that happened after the midday. Ukegon shaya aviv goses b'chatzot, that the father was about to pass away at the middle of the day. So therefore they didn't designate the animal at the middle of the day as a designation of Pesach, because we have a rule that rov goses im lemita, that most of the people who are in the bridge of passing, eventually they passed. It's a matter of short time that happens. It's always. And unfortunately, I have many situations that I need to face those challenges when it's about to die, and I express my objection to disconnect respirator, etc. So it's always in a situation of time. Who knows how long, etc. We don't know. We do know that even Rov Gosesim Lemita, that most of the people in a state of Goses eventually passed, but we in the traditional Judaism object to any passive euthanasia. So therefore, even we know that he passed, but we cannot initiate anything. So here, since the father was no telamut, was about to die, so therefore this animal was not designated at the middle of the day in the title of Paschal Lamb, and therefore the son can bring it for the purpose of Paschal Lamb, because the obligation of bringing the Paschal Lamb preceding the aninut. Fourth answer, Rav Ashi Amar, לעולם דמית לאחר חצות. Rav Ashi said that we are talking about situation the father passed away after middays. So it means that that animal already entitled as a Paschal Lamb at the middle of the day. So since the animal left with no owner because the son was not registered with the father, it postponed from bringing it to Paschal Lamb. So even later we will bring it as a peace offering. ורבי שמעון אמר אין בעלי חיים נדחים. That for Rabbi Shimon that said that living animals are not deferred. So meaning that the idea that they are left over, the befitting for offering, it's only for offering of a peace offering. Which means you may think, Rashi said, that maybe after Pesach can be used for shlamim. Anyway, Ravina said that the Tosefta, the bride kegon sheifrishu achar chatzot, the owner of the animal put aside only after midday. Umetu be'alim achar chatzot, that the owner passed after chatzot. V'kava savar chasot kava, that the midday is determined what if we entitle this animal as a Pesach. So therefore the animal is not considered a dachui, because the whole time that it was dedicated, deferred, it was after the midday, which means if the son was registered with the father for the purpose of Paschal Lamb, he can bring it for Paschal Lamb because the obligation of Pesach preceding the aninut. But if he was not registered with the father, so he can bring it as a peace offering after Pesach, because at the middle of the day the animal would not dedicate yet, so it's not considering dachui. So therefore you have to go for after Pesach. That's Rashi. But Tzlach challenged that, and the Tzlach said that basically, according to what we understand, it's a situation that's not applicable to all of our previous terutzim. Anyway, Mishnah, HaPesach shnitarev bazvachim. You have one animal, one of those goats, dedicated for the Paschal Lamb, and he mixed with other that can be guilt offering, burnt offering, and it's known. We don't know which animal was separated for which offering. So it's all mixed. So because of all of that, the Maharsha explained, none of them is ready for offering. Why? Because each one, the Meiri said, of all of these offering can be a Paschal Lamb, burnt offering, guilt offering. They have a different halachot in regards to sprinkle the blood on the altar. How, etc. you're eating it. So since it's different, kulam yiru ad sheyisavu, you have to let them all graze and let them develop a blemish and die naturally. And then you sell them. Means you bring the money of the one of this type, which is the proceed of the choices of the life. Which means all these three different offering, each of them will bring something that it's the best of that level, because you don't know the value. So each of them you have to bring the best. And basically he loses the difference from his own pocket, which means not all the offering were expensive as most valuable animal in the group. So therefore, he must purchase an animal for each type of offering for the value of the most expensive animal in the group. So he said, nit'arev bivchorot. But if the Pesach mix with the Korban of the animal of the firstborn, so how we do that? So Rashi explains that you bring a money that is 3 times more than the value of the all 3, and he said that one of them I make it for the exchange of that offering. Rabbi Shimon Omer, im chavurat kohanim yochlu. If it's all the group of registered, all the chavura that in charge of Pesach are kohanim, so they're allowed to eat from this meat that it's firstborn. So they eat at that night from all this mixture of the offering up to Chatzot, up to the middle of the day. Because you have uncertainties, maybe that goat is the offering of Pesach, at the time of eating it, it's only from the beginning of the night until Chatzot. So therefore, you go that direction. The Vasfat Emet said, why are you using the language Imayu Kohanim? What happened if it was a regular Israel? So he said, the truth is that even Israel can do it. But he said that the chances is that the most probably the Israel will bring it to Kohanim, that they appointed for them. So that's because it's more, it's a highest probability that it will involve Kohanim. צדיק ח' עמוד ב' 98b והא קמייטה קודשים לבית הפסול, but because he reduced the time of eating the firstborn, he can make this kodashim, this sanctified item, to be disqualified. Why? Because you eat the Paschal lamb until Chatzot, and anything that left over, it's notar, it's left over. It's disqualified. So the Gemarrah responded and said, Rabbi Shimon letamei, דאמר מביאים קודשים לבית הפסול. So he said it can bring it even, it's a disqualified left as a notar, because it's a short period of time. That now, he brings the source from Tractate Zvachim, page 75b. Asham shenitarev b'shlamim. If you have a guilt offering that mixes with the peace offering, which means that the blood process is equal for both, Rabbi Shimon Omer yishachtu batzafon, they should be slaughtered at the north part of the courtyard, because it's considered Kodesh Kodashim, that's the location. V'yachlu kachomer shebahem, because as far as the eating, guilt offering have most stringencies, the peace offering, it's only eaten inside the courtyard and only by the mere kehuna, and the time of slaughtering it's only day and night afterward. Versus peace offering, you can eat any place in Yerushalayim, and anyone who is pure, and the 2 days and night between them. So they said, Amrulo, the sage said in the offering of these two korbanot, En mevi'in kodashim lebeit hapsul. You cannot bring a sanctified item to the Beit Hapsul. So both of them need to gaze until you have some blemish, and you sell them, and you take in the money other animals. So the Gemara asks, "V'Rabbanan eicha avdinan?" So how the sages say that in this type of situation you don't bring a consecrated item to Beit Hapsul, to something that's disqualified. So how we do with the mixture of Paschal lamb with the firstborn? So they said, Amarava namtin lo ad sheyumamnu, which means we wait for the owner until the animals carry a blemish. Ve'yavi be'mashmena, we will take for this mixture the money of this mixture of animal, the Rashash said, from the best. V'leima, and you should make a declaration, Kol heicha de'ite lePesach, any place that the Paschal lamb you found, Tachul alei the kedusha, the sanctity of this money will appeal to that. so ve'achileu, so then he can eat all this mixture of animal, betorat b'chor ba'al mum, in the law of a blemish, firstborn animal. So basically by doing so, even they're eating as a besar chulin, but anyway they have some limitations in that. You cannot sell it in a regular market. You sell it inside the house, you measure it according to Omed. So therefore they have certain limitation with that manner. חבורה שעבד פסחה. If you have a group with Paschal lamb was lost, ואמרו לאחד, and they said one of the registered, צא ובקש ושחוט עלינו, go and find out where is the lost Paschal lamb and slaughter for us. והלך ומצא ושחט, and he found, and he slaughtered for himself Nemiri said on for the purpose of the entire חבורה. והם לקחו ושחטו, and they took meanwhile other animal and slaughtered for Pesach. So what do you do now? So he said, אם שלא נשחט ראשון, if his was slaughtered first, הוא אוכל משלו והם אוכלים עמו משלו. So he will be the first because they make him a shaliach, so he can go for everyone else if they go by him. ואם שלהם נשחט ראשון, however, if the other בני החבורה, they are slaughtered first, הם אוכלים משלהם והוא אוכל משלו. Each one of them take separately, Rashi explained, because no one of them registered for the other. ואם אני יודע איזה מהם שנשחט ראשון, if it's not known which one was first. או שחטו שניהם כאחד, הוא אוכל משלו והם אוכלים עמו. Or they do it together, so each one of them do separately, because you don't know which one will take precedence before the other. The Meiri explains that somehow one took precedence before the other. Since we don't know, so you have to go by the separation. So because each one of them, you may happen that it was the first. So therefore, there they cannot eat it and they need to burn it. So the tzlach challenged that. He says, why are you burning it? Anyway, ופטורים מלעשות פסח שני. And they're exempt from going for a second Pesach because even they don't eat from neither one of those Pesach, because since one of their Paschal lamb was slaughtered for them, they fulfill the mitzvah of Korban Pesach. That's the way the Rashi explained. The Tosfot here challenged that. But anyway, that's the way Rashi explained it. Then he said, what? Then he said, he responded to them. Amar lahem, if one of the people of the Chabura went by himself to search for the lost of Paschal lamb, and he said to other members of the Chabura, what did he say? Im echarti tz'u v'shachatu alai, we schedule a time. If I'm late and you bring other animal instead of that what lost, you go and slaughter for me. And they did not tell him to slaughter for them the one Paschal lamb that was lost. He went and slaughtered, they went to slaughter. So, if they are first, they eat them and he joined them. Because they are part of that. And what to do with his? You burn it, Rashi said, because he basically backed off of the first one. However, he does first, so he is eating independently and they eat because they didn't make him a shaliach emissary to slaughter for them. The same story is said at the Reisha, not known who is the first, or they slaughter at the same time, the same din as we said earlier. Because sin again, Rashi explained, because he fulfilled the obligation on Pesach by one of the two. Amar lahem, if he said to them, if I'm late, so do you Paschal lamb independently? V'hem amru lo, אותו דבר, the same thing that they should, if one is lost, so you should slaughter for them. אוכלים כולם מן הראשון, because each of them is the shaliach of the other. ואם בן ידוע איזה מהם נשחט ראשון, if it's not known which one, or they make it together, שניהם יוצאים מבית השריפה, and they exempt from doing second Pesach. That's the Rambam Hilchot Pesach chapter 3. לא אמר להם, if now he didn't say to slaughter the Pesach for them, ולא אמרו לו, they didn't say to him, אין אחראים זה לזה, there's no responsibility from one another, you don't care which one is slaughtered first, each one of them eat separately. That's what Rashi tells us. שתי חברות שנתערבו פסחיהם, if you have two groups Before they slaughter the Paschal lamb, it mixed both of them. It means that we don't know which animal belonged to whom. So what do? Eilu moshchin lahem echad, ve'elu moshchin lahem echad. Each of them pull out one of the Paschal lamb, and each chabura select for itself just randomly one of the unknown owner, something that is uncertain who is the owner. Echad me'elu ba'etzel elu, ve'echad me'elu ba'etzel elu. Each of them sent one of the member to the other. וכך הם אומרים, that's what it said. אם שלנו הפסח הזה, ידיך משוחררות משלך ומילתא שלנו, if it's ours, so we selected properly, so part of us. ואם שלך הוא הפסח הזה, if the one, it's you, so you registered with us, ידינו משוחררות משלנו ומילתא שלך. So in short, it's all, in a sense, they are pointing each other. וכן חמש חברות של חמישה ושל 10. If you have 5 group of 5 people, each one of them, or 10, so the Tiferet Yisrael said that it can be either 10 people each or 5 people each, and the Meiri said that it's applied also in the less. They're just using that as an example. Moshchin lahem, they take for the mixture of Pesach, echad b'kol chavura v'chavura, which means they're now making a new chavurot, a new group. וכן הם אומרים, and we said the same as we said earlier, שניים שנדברו פסחים, if you 2 individuals, mixture, which means you have a Reuven and Shimon, each of them, Rashi said, appointed one animal for his Pesach, and didn't register with others with their Pesach, and then a mixture, and you don't know who is the owner. So he said, זה מושך לו אחד וזה מושך לו אחד. Each of them take one of the Pesachim, just randomly, וממנעים לו אחד מן השוק, they just, Reuben said to Levi, I am appointing for this Paschal lamb mine in any place. And that's what Shimon said to Yehuda, the same thing. So it means that they make a new registration on those Paschal lamb that they appointed earlier, which means that you have 2 registration for every Paschal lamb in any location, Rashi said. And each of them said to the new partner that stand next to the animal, that is the original owner, זה בא אצל זה, וזה בא אצל זה. וכך הם אומרים, each one of the owner, original owner, going to take for what the other take, and that's the way they said it. So, just a side point, it's important, Rashi here, in דיבור המתחיל, זה בא אצל זה, explain to us in and I explain it in a book. I remember that, I just need to find it. 1 second. The book בעיקר כלומר ברש"י על הש"ס, that the reason here Rashi said היום מניח פסחו כמו שהוא כלומר בלא בעלים, so it means that the Paschal lamb left with no ownership at all. So כמות שהוא, it means that it's an issue here, because what type of situation it's applied. If you're talking about the owner, it makes no difference which one is the owner. Anyway, read in the book, I elaborate on that. So they said, וכך הם אומרים, that's the way they said, אם שלי הוא פסח זה, if we don't know, and it's not match our original ownership, and that's not the Paschal lamb that you appointed with my other fellows. ידיך משוחות משלך ונמנית על שלי. ואם שלך הוא פסח זה, ידיים משוחות משלי ונמלאתי על שלך. So he said, if this is your Paschal lamb, I am drawn for mine, and I am hereby registered for yours. So that's basically, by doing so, it's make each one of them independently registered for their Pesachim, and basically that's the way they fix the situation. The Chazon Ish in Pesachim Kuf Kav Dalet elaborated that. He said that each of them can do it before the others take the ownership of that Pesach. Tanu Rabbanan. So the Gemarrah tells us, Tanu Rabbanan. Tanu Rabbanon, learning Braita אמר להם, the shaliach said that you should slaughter for me, even I'm late. ואמרו לו, and the other people in the Chavura said that he should search for the Pesach that lost and slaughter for them. אוכל מן הראשון. He can eat from the first Pesach and they eat from the same Pesach and the second one go and burn. לא אמר להם, he didn't appoint them to slaughter the Pesach for him. ולא אמרו לו, אינן אחראית זה לזה, they're responsible for each other and each of them can eat independently from his Pesach. 99, צדיק ט', מכאן אמרו חכמים, the sages said, יפה שתיקה לחכמים, silence is fitting for the wise people, קל וחומר לטיפשים, for sure for the fool, it's true. שנאמר, they said in the book of Proverbs in Mishlei 17, אוויל מחריש, חכם יחשב. Sometimes it's good to display equanimity, right? Because speaking up sometimes show a fullness. So the Tzlach elaborating that. They said that they basically lost both the mitzvah of Pesach either way. Anyway.
Better to leave your foolishness in doubt than to open your mouth and make it obvious to everyone.
Yes. It's a famous Jewish saying, the mother saying, if you don't have anything nice or smart to say,
don't say anything.
Yes. If you have two individuals that mix, and so each of them, the Mishnah said that he appointed someone else from the shuk. So maybe we say that the Mishnah is not good by Rabbi Yehuda. It said that he allowed at the end to appointed people from the shuk in order not to leave these Paschal lamb without ownership. So that's basically not according to Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya. We learn derived from Shmot, chapter 12. So the Torah said that if the people in the house that registered for the Pesach, it's small in measurement of seh, but the Gemarrah derived it differently. Melamed shemitma'atim ve'olchim, which means that the people of the Chabura, of the group, may keep decreasing. Which means that they moshchim et yedehem, they pull out, and then is less and less registered people. As long as one of them, the original member of the Chabura, is there. That's what Rashi explained to us. Is elaborate. I wish to have time. Anyway, Rabbi Yossi Omer, he said, as long as they don't leave it without honor, so it's fine. They have the original honor. Amar Rabbi Yochanan afilu teima, Rabbi Yehuda. You can say that the Mishnah or go by according to Rabbi Yehuda. Kevan Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Buddha said in the early Mishnah in page 91, En shochotim ta Pesach al hayachid. You should not slaughter the Paschal lamb that only one individual registered for it. Me'ikar la'amnuya charina ba'adei kai. From the beginning, it stood to have another person registered with the original owner. U'ke'echad mibnei chaburat dami. So he's basically is like one of the original members of the group. So therefore, so if the both of the Paschal lamb wasn't mixed, each of them you need to add another person to them, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, you cannot bring a Korban Pesach when you have just one individual. So someone that joined them, Rashi said, is considering like the original owner. Rav Ashi, Omar Rav Ashi agreed with the answer of Rabbi Yochanan, and he said the opposite, that this Mishnah goes specifically by Rabbi Yehuda. Omar Rav Ashi matnitin damei taika, we can derive the Mishnah according to opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, the Ktani. וכן חמש חבורות של חמישה, also in the 5 groups of the 5 and 5 people, של חמישה אין, אבל של חמישה וארבעה לא. So that specifically if we know that it's 5 people in each chabura. So the solution of the Mishnah is good. But it's only 4. לא. This solution will not solve the issue. Why? לאו משום דלא פייש חד מבני חבורה גבי. It is not because none of the original members of the group will remain with it if all 4 members of the group will join the other 4 groups. He said, Shma Mina, you learn from this Mishnah the following opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. So basically what we derive from that. So it may that the new Chabura, they have 4 members that just carry now. That is one of these Chabura, they have 5 members. So you selected the Paschal lamb that originally by the 4 members, and it's you cannot have one of the original owner. הדרן הלך מי שהיה טמא, וסליק עלה פסח שני. So the completion of מי שהיה טמא, and also completion of the Pesach Sheni. First one is the Rambam, ספר קורבנות, הלכות קורבן פסח, chapter 4. המפריש פסחו ומת. If one separates an animal as his Paschal lamb and then dies, his son may not sacrifice this as a Paschal lamb, rather it is brought as a peace offering. Then we said that קודם חצות ואחר חצות. If one separates his Paschal lamb and then dies, and his son is registered together with him, the son may sacrifice the animal as a Paschal lamb. However, this is true only if the father dies after midday, after chatzot. But if he dies before midday, his son's offering is deferred to the second Pesach, and he sacrificed the animal as his Paschal lamb at the time. The halacha is according to opinion of the Rav Ashi. We also talk about Pesach Shenit Arev. If you have a Paschal lamb that become intermingled with others, for example, the firstborn. If a Paschal lamb intermingled with the firstborn animal, all the animals are left to graze until they develop blemish. It's a tirei she'yisrael. At that point, the sanctity of the Paschal lamb is transferred to another animal that is fine as the choicest animal in the mixed group, which is then sacrificed as a peace offering. The animals are then eaten in according with the rules governing the blemished firstborn animal, and that's Rambam, Ilchot Korban Pesach, chapter 4. Chabura she'avad pischa. So this Rambam, Ilchot Korban Pesach, chapter 3, is dealing with a group who loses his Paschal lamb and sent one person to search for it and slaughter it on their behalf. And he does so, but meanwhile, they didn't have a patience. So other members of the group take another Paschal lamb and slaughter it. So he said, if the original Paschal lamb was slaughtered first, the entire group eats from it, and the second Paschal lamb is burned. So that's basically what we state in the Mishnah. It's in this sense, in this circumstance, it's also a practical halacha. And again, that's Rambam Sefer Korbanot, Ilchot Korban Pesach, chapter 3.